What's up, everyone? Kron here, and I just finished Under the Silver Lake, a movie starring Andrew Garfield, and it was written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, which is the same guy who did It Follows. I kind of just want to talk about it and tell you kind of my thoughts about it. So we'll start off with like one of the first shots in the movie was Andrew Garfield getting the Vertigo shot. And if you know what the Vertigo shot is, it's from Hitchcock's movie Vertigo, and it's just this weird camera thing where it's like zooms and pulls out at the same time, or maybe it's vice versa, but it gives a really weird effect as if you're kind of confused. Really, they did that with him, so I thought that was a cool shot. And then as the movie went on, you could see more and more Hitchcock references. Even like the plot of the movie Under the Silver Lake was pretty similar to Vertigo's plot, which is the main character, the man, falls in love with some woman, and then he goes and looks for her and figure out like where did she go or what happened to her, and that's what both of the films are about. And I thought it was cool to pay tribute to him in that movie because I love that movie, and it was cool because even like they had like car shots of like them driving. It was very similar to like it was exactly like Hitchcock actually. Then they had like the little music playing that was like kind of like this orchestra type thing. It was really cool to see them do that. Now, by no means was it as good as the movie as Vertigo. It This movie definitely had its flaws, but it was also kind of cool because I don't know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed how it was kind of like a noir, but it was more of like a new one. But at the same time, it just didn't really land the same. So like I think like the problem with it, why I couldn't live up to Vertigo, is because Hitchcock was really good at like building the mystery and not having it be so convenient, because in this movie, especially at the end, like it was fine all the way up. Like it had like the things where he was searching for, and you could see him like traveling, trying to figure it out, going to all these different people, talking to different people, and just trying to understand it. And then at the end, like right before like the reveal and everything like that, it just was like handed to him. He just conveniently had a magazine that had exactly what he was looking for. And I get that like he had like the retro gaming vibe to him. He had the retro games. He even showed them playing video games. So I get like that connection. But it just felt like too convenient almost. It was like he didn't even go to anybody and it was like, hey, I have this magazine. It's like he had it. And then like he's reading the magazine and he turns around and the cereal has this thing in it. Like on his bar, like in his kitchen, he just has a cereal sitting there that he needs. And it felt all too convenient for me. It's just like this just feels like some like cheap video game where it's like they tell you need to go up to somewhere and then like you look to your left and there's a ladder right there. It's like you took the puzzle aspect out of the game. Like it may be like for the game, maybe it was never meant to be that. But for this movie, I felt like it should have been that. It should have been just a little bit harder for him to figure out like the final thing before he went out and did what he needed to do to find out what happened to the girl. It was like the big penultimate moment, and they kind of took it from us because he just turned around and everything he needed was sitting right there in front of him. And I don't know. I don't know if I really liked it. Well, in fact, I know I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of cheap. Well, too, Andrew Garfield's acting I thought was phenomenal. I love his little quirks, his little hesitations before he would speak or after he would speak, the little noises he would make.
No, it wasn't.
And then like some of the looks that he would give, it'd be like really awkward, but he would do it in a way where it didn't feel awkward. It was kind of comedic and it just landed really well. And I think it fit like what the movie was because it was a noir, but at the same time, it was more of like a comedic take on one. And I thought that was cool. And so we'll just alternate back to something else that we'll go back and forth. It's kind of like here's something cool about the film, then here's something kind of bad about the film. So another thing that I didn't really care for, I'm kind of teetering on this one, which is the dog killer. What happened to the dog killer, right? Because I don't know, like they're mentioned all throughout the film, and I'm thinking the entire time we're gonna figure out like the dog killer, and then the movie ends and we don't know who the dog killer was. We don't know really anything, and I kind of like it because maybe they're just kind of just showing like in the city that they're in, there's a dog killer, and you don't really need to know anything more about that because the movie's not about that. It's about finding out what happened to this girl, but at the same time, I kind of want to know who's killing dogs. Like, why are you just out here killing dogs? But I do like it that it kind of just gave like this weird eerie feeling to the city that they are living in, or I guess maybe the part of town that they are living in that was out here killing dogs. And that brings you to my next point, which is it kind of had a Mulholland Drive vibe to it as well. It was kind of like a Vertigo mixed with Mulholland Drive because not just because of the dog killer, but the things that were happening in the movie that just seemed so outrageous, like really ridiculous things, like just going to a party called Purgatory, and Andrew Garfield was like, he was one was like, "Welcome to Purgatory," and Andrew Garfield was like, "Hey, it's great to be here. And I have some things I need to think about," and it was kind of just like
Welcome to Purgatory. Good to be here.
all the parties that they went to, it just felt very Mulholland Drive. I don't know if that's just because they both kind of took place in the Hollywood area, but I don't know. It really had a weird Mulholland Drive feel to it, and I enjoyed it because I love Mulholland Drive as crazy as it is, and how it kind of doesn't make any sense at all, but then it kind of makes perfect sense, and that's kind of what the dog killer part of the movie feels like. It's like it doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, it doesn't really have to make any sense because it just kind of sets the ambiance to the movie. That's cool. Yeah, and what happened to the girl that he kept having sex with at the beginning and kind of like the middle? Like after he got sprayed with the skunk, she was like, "Hey, I'll come back when you smell better," and then she just never came back. And so I'm like, well, like that was it with her forever. And I don't know. At first, I was like, maybe he just never smelled any better, and so they didn't bring her back because throughout the rest of the movie, they were kind of talking about like how bad he smelled, and then she never came back. And I would say that like maybe he smelled bad all the way to the end, but then he slept with the other woman that he used to spy on with the birds who was topless. And so it's like, well, maybe he did start smelling better. They just decided not to bring her back and say anything because I don't know. You would think that they would bring her back and he'd be like, yeah. So like I figured it out because I had the whole bathroom scene when he was trying to get the skunk spray off of him. He was telling her like, yeah, I believe this is and that, and he said something along the lines of like, "You think I'm crazy" or something like that. I'll play the clip.
Oh, you think that's weird? A little.
Yeah, you would think that they would have another moment at least where he was like, "Yeah, I told you I wasn't crazy" or something like that. But they didn't give us that either. It's like there's a lot of things that was kind of left out in this movie that I feel like they should have given to us just to give us closure with it. Which, speaking of closure, I don't like the way the film ended. There, it seemed unfinished. Everything just seemed unfinished. And that's what comes back to the Mulholland Drive vibe of the movie. It just the ending was just like what, like what? But it didn't. Mulholland Drive worked because when it ended, you're like what? But at the same time, it's like that was good. Like what just happened? Like I don't know what happened, but I kind of liked it, and it was cool and it was creative. And this one tried to mimic it, and in some places it did kind of hit it, like with all the parties that he would go to and the things that they would go to, and like they were at one place and then they went underground. It was to party. It was like to another bar called like the Crypt or something like that. That was cool. It also was similar in like the dream aspect of the movie. Andrew Garfield's character kept having these dreams, and I guess maybe this also connects back into like the dog killer thing because it would be like people like barking like dogs. Yeah, it's just reminds me of Mulholland Drive of dreams
I'm in this dream place.
are just strange. And then also, yeah, like just strange in general with the movie because with Mulholland Drive, it had like this nothing is as it seems type of thing to it.
This is all an illusion.
And so did Under the Silver Lake, where with Under the Silver Lake, they're talking about how there's subliminal messages everywhere and there's things happening around you that like you don't notice, but other people do notice because it was meant for them and not meant for you.
Powerful, communicating things in the world that are meant for only them and not for us.
And that was kind of also like with Mulholland Drive, how it just you couldn't tell which one was reality. So yeah, it's just this movie really was like a Vertigo mixed with Mulholland Drive to see what would come out with it, and it kind of worked in ways, but it also didn't work in ways. I just feel like it didn't reach the level that Mulholland Drive and Vertigo were at, but you can tell that it's kind of like an offspring of them. So I guess it did its job in a way. Something else that just I just thought of and I just wanted to say is when he those kids were messing with his car and he grabbed that egg and shoved it in his mouth and punched him. Like what? Dude just punched like a 12-year-old in the face. shoved the egg in his mouth. But I guess they probably learned the lessons about messing with people's cars. And then his car got taken later anyway, which he didn't end up getting back either. Yeah, he has a rough time coming later. Like they didn't show it in the movie, but he lost his house, he lost his car, and he's just like, yeah, he has to figure his life out afterwards. And what the fuck was that bird saying? I suppose that's just about everything that I wanted to talk about with this because I kind of just wanted to make the comparison and kind of just talk about my thoughts about it and discuss it. There'll be other things coming like this because I'm getting back into movies and TV and stuff. I'm probably just gonna get on here and discuss them. I have like a letterbox you can follow and keep track of it. But this is where I'll post most of the stuff. It'll be short descriptions on letterboxed and stuff like that, but you can just follow what I'm watching and all that stuff on there. So yeah, in the end, I enjoyed it and I appreciated what they did to pay tribute and honor the greats. So yeah, that's everything with this. But like as I kind of just sat here and was talking about it and thinking about it, the movie, I mean, Under the Silver Lake, I'm kind of want to watch it again.
Under the silver